Good afternoon and welcome to Spectrum Television News at 12. I am Uyai Imam coming to you live from Uyo. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Tinubu secures pet robbers return to Nigeria after 5 years, signs MOU. Akwa Ibom State Reg Oboefanga reaffirms readiness as Akwa Ibom records 543 new voter registrations. Plus, Iran vows to reciprocate after Australia expels ambassador. We'll bring you details of these stories in a moment. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. We begin this afternoon from the national scene where the presidency has announced that President Bola Tinubu had secured the return of Petrobras to Nigeria 5 years after Brazil's state-owned oil company halted its joint venture operations. A statement by Special Advisor to the President, Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, said Tinubu welcomed the development. At a press conference in Brasilia during his state visit to Brazil, President Tinubu said Petrobras' return would reignite economic cooperation in the energy sector between the two countries. Recall that in May, news made the rounds that Petrobras was seeking to re-enter Nigeria's oil sector with a specific interest in frontier deepwater acreage. Meanwhile, Nigeria has signed a bilateral air service agreement, BASA, with Brazil to deepen economic, cultural and diplomatic ties between the two countries. The Special Advisor on Media and Communications to the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Tunde Moshood, disclosed this in a statement on Monday. He said the signing ceremony took place during President Bola Tinubu's 2-day visit to Brazil, adding that Tinubu, who led a delegation comprising senior cabinet members, was received by Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. Away from that, the federal government has unveiled a digital portal designed to provide a credible database of Nigerian teachers, streamline licensing and promote professionalism in the teaching sector. The portal was launched in Abuja by the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria in partnership with the United Kingdom-funded Partnership for Learning for All in Nigeria program. Speaking at the event, the Minister of State for Education, Professor Shuiba Ahmed, said the initiative marked a new chapter for teacher management in the country. Meanwhile, the Federal Ministry of Environment's National Flood Early Warning Center has placed 9 northern states on red alert over possible flooding between August 25th and 29th, 2025. The warning, contained in a circular signed by Usman Abdullahi, Director of the Erosion, Flood and Coastal Zone Management Department, cautioned that certain northern states are likely to experience heavy rainfall that could trigger flooding. The circular listed Bauchi, Gombe, Jigawa, Kano, Katsina, Sokoto, Zamfara and Borno among the states at risk, urging stakeholders to remain vigilant and report any emerging incidents. Back on the home front in Akwa Ibom, the Akwa Ibom state government has revoked all land allocations made between May 29, 2023 and August 25, 2025, including government-acquired lands. In a statement, the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice Ukoesien Udom San explains that the action is to enable the revalidation of all land allocations and migration to the new digital AquaGIS platform. During the transition, all fresh allocations and land transactions are suspended for 1 month, during which period the Directorate of Land shall be shut. while the revalidation exercise will last 2 months to be conducted by the GIS office in the Ministry of Lands and Town Planning. Meanwhile, the government has warned that any land allocation or interest not revalidated within this period will be declared invalid. Meanwhile, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Moina has approved a reshuffle of portfolios in the State Executive Council in line with his administration's Arise agenda. According to a statement signed by the Secretary to the State Government, Prince Enobongwa, the reshuffle affects 2 commissioners by the directive. Captain Inebong Ekong, retired, who was previously the Commissioner for Lands and Town Planning, will now serve as the Commissioner for Trade and Investment. On the other hand, Dr. Ubong Iyang, who was in charge of the Ministry of Trade and Investment, has been redeployed to the Ministry of Lands and Town Planning. The statement further noted that the reshuffle takes immediate effect. In the meantime, the Akwa Ibom State Government has announced the disengagement of Udeme Daniel Issa from his position as Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Land Matters. In a letter signed by the Secretary to the State Government, Prince Enobongwa, the Governor, Pastor Moina, approved Issa's disengagement with immediate effect. The government, however, appreciated his contributions to the development of the state and wished him success in his future endeavors. The letter further directed him to hand over all official documents and property to the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Lands before vacating office. In other news, the Akwa Ibom State Resident Electoral Commissioner, RAC Independent National Electoral Commission INEC, Obo Efanga, has reaffirmed the Commission's readiness to ensure eligible Nigerians are fully captured in the ongoing voter registration exercise. Speaking with Spectrum Television, he explained that the exercise is available both online and physically at designated centers, stressing that citizens can begin their registration process through the INEC online portal by filling in their personal details before visiting a registration center for biometric capturing. He added that those who prefer to register directly can also do so by visiting INEC offices and approved registration centers across the state. The dual process, he said, was introduced to ease access, reduce congestion, and encourage wider participation in the electoral process.
To go online, people who want to register have the option of coming to us directly at the registration center and starting and completing the process, or they can start with the online pre-registration, fill in all the information, take their photographs online, and then pick a center, a time and a date to come to the center to complete the process for us to take their fingerprints, and the process is completed. For you to register as a voter in Nigeria, first you must be a Nigerian and you must be up to 18 years of age at the time you come to register, not when the election would be held. For those people who have access to go online, apart from fresh registrants, any other thing they want to do, they can do it online. And for the fresh registrants, they can start off the process online. That's why we call it pre-registration. And they only come for us to capture their fingerprints, which makes it shorter for them. So when they come, they don't have to be on the same line with people who are coming to register for the first.
Taking on the challenges faced during the process, Efanga cited minor technology challenges, which he noted will be resolved as the process progresses. He further stated that in Akwa Ibom, the response has been positive, with 543 fresh applicants in the continuous voter registration on the first day. The REC urged Akwa Ibomites to register for their voters card, warning those that are already registered to avoid registering again. He further urged to those who have changed their place of residence, misplaced their permanent voter cards, or need corrections on their details to make use of the opportunity, stressing that the voters' card remains the only valid tool for exercising the right to vote in the forthcoming elections.
I started this yesterday, so there may be teething problems that we are trying to resolve. Maybe sometimes the technology is not working very fast, but we are working on that. I'm sure that as we progress today and in the next few days, things will go very well. So for yesterday, which was when we started the physical registration, and those who did online had to come and complete it. In Akwa Ibom State, across the state, we registered more than 500, and it shows local government by local government. Registration, and those who did online had to come and complete it. In Akwa Ibom State, across the state, we registered. So we are basically looking at people who have since turned 18 after the last time we registered, and people who for some reason couldn't register all this while and they want to register, they can do that. But I know that there are some people who registered previously. They are still in a register. They may want to make changes to their information. They want to change their name, they want to change their date of birth, they want to vote in a different polling unit from where they were voting before. They can do the changes. They can do it online or come to us physically, but they will not be registered afresh. We will just change the information they have as they want. For those who haven't registered, this is an opportunity to register. If you've registered before, please don't attempt to register again, because you would just have wasted your time, our time, and the time of other legitimate persons who ought to register by you being on the queue. And then eventually we will still cancel that your attempt to register.
We move down to Africa, whereas millions of children in Ethiopia remain out of school. The Amhara region has launched a massive registration campaign. The Regional State Education Bureau says it plans to enroll 7.4 million students for the 2025-2026 academic year. It has allocated a large budget to train over 10,000 teachers and school leaders, while more than 24,000 other educators have also received training through the Ministry of Education. Data from the United Nations Children's Agency, UNICEF, shows that 4.4 million children in Amhara did not attend school last year, the highest number in Ethiopia. Over the past 2 years, armed conflicts and insecurity have prevented millions of students from returning to classrooms. Officials say the impacts of climate change include floods and drought, which have also severely challenged the region's education system. On the foreign scene, United States President Donald Trump has fired Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook over alleged mortgage loan improprieties, an unprecedented move likely to test the limits of presidential authority over the independent monetary policy body. Trump said in a letter to Cook, the first African-American woman to serve as head of the Federal Reserve's governing body, that he had sufficient cause to remove her from her position because in 2021, Cook indicated on documents for separate mortgage loans on properties in Michigan and Georgia that both were a primary residence where she intended to live. Cook, appointed to the federal board in 2022 by former U.S. President Joe Biden, has yet to provide a detailed account of the transactions since questions about them were raised last week by U.S. Federal Housing Finance Agency Director William Pulte, who referred the matter to Attorney General Pamela Bondi for investigation. Still on the foreign scene, Iran vowed reciprocal action today after Australia expelled its ambassador over accusations that Tehran was behind anti-Semitic arson attacks in Sydney and Melbourne. Recall that Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said earlier that Iran was behind the touching of a kosher cafe in Sydney's Bondi suburb in October 2024 and directed a major arson attack on the Adas Israel Synagogue in Melbourne in December of the same year. Australia declared Iranian Ambassador Ahmed Sadeghi persona non grata and ordered him and 3 other officials to leave the country within 7 days. It also withdrew its own ambassador to Iran and suspended operations at its embassy in Tehran, which opened in 1968. Still to come in the news. PSG announced signing of Super Falcons forward Ajibade. Stay tuned for details of these and more in a moment.
Broadening your horizon is what every living being not only genuinely desires, but heartily pursues and intentionally invests in. For in the gathering of men, only those whose minds are in tune with the dynamics of the past, present, and future innovations, inventions, politics, and governance are respected. They are Spectrum Television, and broadening your horizon is our obsession. Rescan your decoder now to connect Spectrum Television on the frequency 12589, symbol rate 26250. That is frequency 12589, symbol rate 26250. Polarization horizontal, and join our online community at spectrumtvlive.ng. For further inquiries, please call 0704 158 5642 or 0704 541 7707. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Welcome back and thanks for staying tuned. It's still the news at 12. On our business news, the Nigeria Customs Service Apapa Area Command has announced a collection of 161 billion naira in revenue within 3 weeks via the Unified Customs Management System, also known as BIODOGO. The Customs Area Controller in charge of the command, Babatunde Olomu, disclosed this during a recent stakeholder engagement at the command. Olomu maintained that there are prospects of improvement in the BIODOGO system, even as he commended the stakeholders for their patience and understanding. The Apapa Customs Board reiterated that the dedicated ICT department of the service has been working around the clock to achieve a permanent solution to the impasse. Still in business, analysts have projected that Nigeria's external reserves would rise to about $45 billion by the end of the year, thus strengthening the ability of the Central Bank of Nigeria to provide a buffer for the foreign exchange market and general economy. This projection followed the rise of the exchange reserves to $41 billion last Tuesday, the highest level recorded in 44 months, according to CBN data. The appreciation in the reserve signaled a significant recovery following depletion driven by external debt repayments. The reserves have experienced a sustained appreciation in August, increasing by $1.56 billion from $39.54 billion in August 1st to $41.11 billion August 22nd, representing a 3.95% increase in less than a month, according to the analysts at Cowrie Assets Management in their weekly market report. The momentum of reserve growth appears likely to continue, supported by steady offshore inflows and potential external borrowings planned by the government. On our health news, the Nigerian Medical Association Lagos State chapter has condemned the continued denial of call-to-duty meals to doctors on overnight and emergency shifts at the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, Idi Araba, describing the situation as inhumane and unacceptable. The association said Luth doctors have allegedly worked without meals during call duties for over 5 years, despite repeated complaints and engagements with the hospital's management. According to reports, for over 5 years, the doctors at Luth were not receiving any meal allowance, despite agitations from major associations like the Medical and Dental Association of Nigeria and the Association of Resident Doctors. Sports news has that Rwanda head coach Adel Amoruchi has named a 27-man provisional squad for his side's 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers against Nigeria and Zimbabwe. Regulars Fabrice Nwari, Innocent Nshutu, Angie Musinzi, and Captain Bismana Dihad are among those included in the squad. The list consists of 3 goalkeepers, 9 defenders, 6 midfielders, and 9 strikers. Amorichi will trim the squad before the team's departure to Nigeria on Wednesday, September the 3rd. The Amavubi will face Nigeria in a match day 7 clash at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium, Uyo, on Saturday, September 6th. Still in sports, French giants Paris Saint-Germain PSG have confirmed the signing of Super Falcons forward Rashidat Ajibade. The Women's Africa Cup of Nations WAFCON winning captain joins on a 2-year deal after leaving Spanish side Atletico de Madrid at the end of last season. The 24-year-old links up with compatriots Jennifer Echegini as Les Parisians strengthened their squad in a bid to reclaim the League One feminine title, which they last won in 2021. Meanwhile, Ajibade shone at the 2024 Women's Africa Cup of Nations, where she was voted player of the tournament after scoring 1 goal and providing 2 assists as Nigeria claimed a record 10th continental crown. On entertainment news, Big Brother Nigeria Season 10 housemate Ruboy has emerged victorious in the Head of House Challenge, dethroning Jason J, who had initially been crowned Head of House after he emerged victorious during the Head of House Challenge that took place shortly after the live eviction show on Sunday. The competition, which tested the housemates' skills and strategy, saw Ruboy outplay other contenders, including Bright Morgan, Katuri, Daddy and Coin. As the new head of house, Ruboy has secured immunity from nominations, ensuring his safety for the week. And that's all we have on this news bulletin. Do well to follow us on social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, SpectrumTVLive.ng. You have been watching Spectrum Television News at 12. I am Uyai MM. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Good afternoon.